At first, I was like, ah! But now that I've had time to absorb it, loving this.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the TV Corner. Today we are talking about that Friends reunion. After 17 years since the show's ending episode, we finally get the reunion of David Schwimmer, Matt LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, and Jennifer Aniston, and just relive all of the funny, really emotional, heartfelt moments of the show that probably was one of the biggest, if not the biggest show for 10 years of TV. So I figured it's been a couple weeks since it came out, that it's been enough time that people have seen it that I can now talk about it. I still avoid some spoilers, but I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because it is one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. And I was honestly very surprised at how it went, and I just needed to talk about it. I thought that this could go in a very poor direction. This could be really stupid and hammed up, and all these, especially having seen the guest list of people that they were going to bring on. I mean, Justin Bieber, as much as we love her, Malala, Cara Delevingne. So like, I was like, why do some of these people need to be here? It makes no sense, especially considering a lot of the people were displeased that Paul Rudd was not on there. And I was also kind of annoyed that Hank Azaria wasn't on there as well. I don't know why they couldn't get them, but they had all these other people. And I was like, why? This is going to be a weird train wreck of things, but I have to be honest, it was very well done. It was very tastefully done because they, for at least the first 15 minutes of it, played on the nostalgia part of it, but it was very cool to see the actors come in to the set and have their natural reactions to not only seeing the set again after 17 years, but also seeing their coworkers. And then, just from there on, they went back and forth between reading some of the most famous scenes at a table read. They did some funny bits with like the trivia about each of them. That episode, the one with the embryos, where they did all that trivia, and then obviously Chandler and Joey get the apartment. They kind of redid that again, but with like newer questions. They brought in a lot of cameos. They talked about how Friends has helped people and given people something to watch and comfort them throughout the whole world. And then obviously all that was going back and forth between all of those things and them sitting by the fountain with James Corden answering some questions. And we got to find out some very interesting things from behind the scenes that we never knew until now. They could have taken this and done it where it would have just been awkward or kind of cheesy, or this is an hour and 45 minutes, this is going on too long. But it really almost bordered on like those behind the scenes of like B-roll of some of the takes. We even see a few of the takes that they did that we never would have seen, or the live studio audience, what they were experiencing. It was very well done in terms of what they decided to put in there, how they decided to do it, seeing the actors actually experience this in real time and get their real thoughts. It wasn't Hollywood, I guess. It wasn't like over glamorized. I mean, to the extent, like I said, it was like a behind the scenes. So you're going to be like, this was cool. But I don't think it was like super flashy. I don't think it was super stupid or awkward. And I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest James Corden fan, especially after all the things that have been said about him. But he kind of was the most perfect person to host this. And I will admit there was a funny moment where Courtney Cox was talking about one of her previous managers, and how she kind of like begged him to be able to get off this one show she was on to be able to be on Friends. And he was like, well, we actually have him in the stand, and he was just kidding. And I thought that was actually pretty fun. One thing that bugged me, not actually about the reunion itself, but about people's reactions to it, where people were making fun of Matthew Perry for his sort of lisp and inability to really talk that well. And obviously he's had some issues with drug substance abuse, prescription medications in the past, and apparently that had nothing to do with it. He just had emergency dental work like 2 days before it, and people are making fun of him. So, chill. So I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it yet, go check out the Friends reunion, because it actually is like, it will make you very happy that you've seen it if you are a Friends fan. You'll get a lot of new interesting insights. You'll get to see a lot of cool cameos that I didn't even know were going to be there. And it's just a cool, just hour and 45 minute, oh yeah, this is why I loved this show. And that's a good transition into the next thing I want to do, is just a small in defense of Friends, which is something I never would have thought I would have had to do. But I'm going to do it anyway. When this reunion was, coming out, like the news about it, a lot of people, I kept seeing the same exact meme. And it was a friend being like, you should totally watch Friends, it's so funny. Me watching Friends, and just whoever, like a bunch of different celebrities or whoever's face just being like, it's not funny. Not to say that, there are not parts that aren't funny. I'll get to that in a second. And not to say that there aren't shows that I do that with. But, like, I saw it every fucking where. And it was really starting to annoy me. The reason it was annoying me is because one of my friends told me a while ago that there's this word called edgelord. She said that edgelord is somebody who doesn't like something purely because it's popular. After looking up the definition of edgelord, I don't think that's actually the case, but for purposes of this, because I can't find an actual word for it, I'm going to call it an edgelord. I cannot stand edgelords in that respect. Liking something or not liking something just because it's popular is so stupid. It's the same thing with the MCU. If it wasn't so popular, people wouldn't have a problem with the fact that they couldn't watch one without having to see all the others. They'd be like, whatever, it's like the Fast and Furious, But because it's so popular and people love it, everybody's automatically like, who doesn't like it or doesn't want to spend all that time, they're automatically like, oh, well, why is it so good? I have to see all of them just to be able to see one. It's so stupid. It's dumb. Your reason for not liking something cannot be because everyone else likes it. If everyone else likes it, there's probably a reason. But getting into this one specifically, yes, it's not always funny. I know that. It was my favorite sitcom when I was younger, and it has now become my third favorite sitcom behind The Office and Parks and Rec. And I think that's very telling about our generation specifically, because we grew up sort of in the laugh track era, and then were quickly transitioned into this sort of semi-documentary, mockumentary era of sitcoms, where it's a lot of subtle humor, there's no laugh track, it's a lot, I want to say, more of clever humor. It's more about situational stuff rather than the punchline that comes with something. So I totally get that. But the laugh track ones, we can't discount them just because they have a laugh track. Yes, they're not our favorite anymore. And I say we as in maybe just my generation. They still have incredibly funny moments. Now again, I'm the first to admit, there are many episodes where I'm like, you just could not think of a single thing. It really goes the way of most shows, where like the first 3 to 5 seasons were really, really good and they hit their stride. And then the next couple seasons you're like, okay, this isn't as good, but they have like really good episodes here and there. Especially even towards the end, they had really great episodes, but the whole season was like, And there is also the problem of a lot of the episodes and a lot of the things they talk about and joke about are problematic now. Maybe they weren't problematic then or as problematic, but they are now. And that's a really interesting debate of like, do we take into account that it wasn't problematic then? In like, obviously it still was, but like not to mainstream. Or do we write it off now? It's weird. What are your thoughts on that? I want to hear people's thoughts on that, because it's an interesting topic. So there is that angle to it as well. And I want to hear your thoughts in the comments about what you think about that. But I will say, in terms of just the regular jokes and the funniness, there are a lot of moments that are just iconic, and they are funny. You don't have to like the whole show, but those moments you can't admit, well, you probably could admit it, but for some people, they can't admit they're not funny. It's a different type of comedy. It's a different type that we're not used to anymore, because we have The Office and Parks and Rec and Community and It's Always Sunny and The Middle and Modern Family. none of which have laugh tracks, a lot of which are set up a certain style of way. You know, I think the last big sitcom to have, you know, really hit with people was Big Bang Theory. And even then, still the same thing. I get a lot of people who are just like, it's not even that funny. You know, I get it for a lot of it, but it's a different style of comedy. You either like that or you don't. Doesn't mean it's not funny. Also doesn't mean it's not problematic. But again, that's a different part to it. Am I coming at this from a very biased perspective of having grown up with Friends in my family and then being able to watch it myself? Yeah, definitely. So this is just my side of it. But in general, even past Friends, if you're going to take something away from this, don't be an edgelord. Like, if you don't like it, tell me why you don't like it. Don't say you don't like it because everyone else likes it. So yeah, go watch the Friends reunion if you are a Friends fan. If you're not, just know it wasn't really stupid or flashy. So it's not something else that we need to have a huge headline about or anything. It was just very tastefully done. It was a nice thing for Friends fans to have a reunion for, you know, just once, just to be able to see them come together again. Overall, it was very, very cool. I'm not really going to give it a score necessarily, but it was well done. Let me know what you thought of the Friends reunion. Let me know what you think of Friends in general. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and always remember...